ordinance attempts to do is set up a permitting process that would be required for the boarding homes. So they would therefore have to let us know they're going to locate within the city and then follow all of the requirements. Right now I'm going to stop short of going through every one of those specifically, but I'd be happy to talk about what that includes. Then, so long as they register with us, show that they're complying with all of their zoning, all the other health and safety requirements that we've established in the ordinance, pay all the fees and keep up with inspections, they can then operate within the city. Another point, I guess, another requirement is a location requirement. As part of this, we also require spacing. I think it's 500 feet, do you recall off the top of your head?
I think it's more than that.
Half a mile.
Yeah, yeah.
So within half a mile, prohibits being located within half a mile of another boarding home in the city.
So my main question, you tell me if I'm wrong, right now, if a boarding home under this, what we're looking at right now, if they come in and ask to go in, legally speaking by the state, we can't tell them no, as we stand right now. So this basically gives us a way to regulate them in a way that makes sense, as opposed to just saying we have to let them in because we can't, by the state law, tell them no. That's generally been my interaction in other cities.
That's correct.
So it's not, regulating it doesn't allow something that right now isn't allowed. It just gives us a way to actually document it, have these regulations. Actually, the 500 feet, I was unaware of that. So that does, right now, because there are a lot of cities around us that wind up with a pretty high number of them, and it's because they don't have an ordinance like this that regulates them. So I'm glad this was something that y'all brought to us. So with that, I don't know that I have any other questions. The council probably does.
I don't really understand.
These
houses, the houses threw me off. I was thinking something similar to what came in down here, Griff's and on Quail or whatever street that is. But then these houses, the pictures of the houses threw me off. So they can come in and buy houses and deem that a boarding home?
That's correct.
And what we've run into in the past, I won't say which city, but a city I used to work for had these constantly. We also didn't have good city attorneys that brought us how we could address it. So basically there would be these group homes going in on every block, and it was basically just you can't do anything, you can't touch them because the state says you can't zone it out of existence. So basically we didn't have any teeth to really enforce anything. I mean, we couldn't even treat it like, if it's a church can usually go in anywhere, but you can at least treat a church as though they need to have X amount of parking, they need to have these exits. And with the group homes, what we dealt with in that other city was we just had to let them come in, and unless the state needed a city inspection that year, we just had to treat them like a normal residential. So, yeah, as it stands right now, they can come into any residential area, basically, and be a group home, boarding home, whatever you want to call it.
Do we have a lot of these happening here?
That was my question.
Because
I don't know, I've been told there is one.
There was one that almost, there's a big house on Cornell that's it was for sale for a long time. It's a weird, it's like a square house at one point somebody was going to buy that to put a group home in. That person, I believe, did not, so I don't know.
No, they just backed out.
I don't think that's who bought it, but I do remember it coming up then.
Is there profit to be made? Is someone making profit off of this?
Oh, yeah.
The ones that buy the homes and do it?
Oh, yeah.
Because Danny's look like they're on your street right here. I recognize these houses.
Get paid by the state.
Yeah, they get money from the state.
By your house.
And a lot of them, obviously, there can be ones that are well-intended, but the problem you run into is there are a lot of them that it's easy to abuse, I think, and so it can wind up being a lot of resources on the city too. So having this where we can basically tell them if you're not registered with us annually and meeting all of our standards, we could shut them down at that point.
That's right.
We can't there's nothing we have right now to actually go in, if anybody is operating one, and say, you have to shut down because the state says they have to.
So we're basically trying to get ahead of the game is what we're doing with this,
Yeah.
because that way we'll have something in place if they come, because right now, the issues that I feel like we're having is the Airbnbs. So, I didn't even know this existed, to be honest.
This is different from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying, I didn't, this is the first I've heard of this, so, okay.
Okay, Darren has a question.
I was just saying, I'm familiar with two areas in Fort Worth where they have big problems, and this does address it. First of all, when you think your neighborhood's too nice to have it, your neighborhood's the target.
Yep.
They want 4-bedroom, 3-bath houses so they can have more. Lost Creek is one of the areas that I know had a major problem, and what happened was, once they found the ideal house, guess what? When the next block had a house come up for sale,
Yes.
they actually had a real estate agent that was targeting them, and they were paying overvalue for the homes, and the next thing you know, now, whether you accept the one next door to you or not, all of a sudden when you have a lot of cars, a lot of visitors at multiple homes, and what we're talking about in the ones that were there, just so you know, was mentally handicapped,
Right.
and trying to get them out of the institutions, which has been going on for 30 years now. But in other words, they're putting them in a big enough house to house several of them, and there will be what's called house parents. So you'll have people that are paid to live there, and these are functioning, fairly functioning, mentally handicapped people. So the environment is probably not bad at all to have next door to you, but I can see how it can be with even just anybody living there with 4 different people living in a house and having visitors come and visit them and all that, so. But half of it with you're saying this distance, so, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're only, is it a half mile? So that means we can only have like 4 in the whole city, if this became rampant?
Well, it depends on the directions, it would be.
Sure.
Yeah, one way, but
Just
you
2
go
square
either
miles,
way.
right? I mean, so. Anyway, but I'm just saying that I understand how it's not understandable what they're even talking about, because I sure wouldn't know had I not experienced it. And another one is Winter Pope Home. Pope Home years ago came in there, and everybody thinks that's a big institution. Well, that's what they did, is they went in surrounding neighborhoods and built quadplexes.
I put plexiglass windows in a bunch of those houses.
Is that right?
So they quit cutting themselves.
And so that wasn't as big a deal there because the whole neighborhood became, that's all it was, and they were building for that, but, sorry.
Well, like I said, I'm glad the attorney.
Does this go, could we make this follow the other type of boarding house, which I have across the street from my house?
So we
Not
have,
the Airbnb, but the guy that's renting out individual rooms?
that's a good one. What do we do if is there any way we can enforce somebody renting out individual rooms to a house?
I don't think so, is there, Bradley?
I have a brand-new house. It was built there.
It's being treated like, one of the Airbnbs is what it is, so.
They're renting out separate bedrooms and shared common areas.
Those
It's a really good question.
They're not there for a
I'm gonna tell you,
We brought that
I didn't come prepared to address that. I would love to look at that and give you an answer on that.
Okay, so Darren, Bradley will,
Look into.
yeah, he'll specifically look into that. And they do, just to touch on the Airbnbs again, they brought us an ordinance back about a year ago, in addition to the one that Fort Worth just passed a month or 2 ago. And, I mean, if staff wants to bring that one back, I think they can. The only thing we had kind of gone with is, right now, until the courts tell us we finally have to allow them, we don't have to allow them. Now, I don't know if we're actually going out there and telling people to not.
We're sending them letters telling them it is prohibited, but they know the law.
There's eventually gonna be, so maybe it's time we go ahead and get that ordinance. If the council wants, maybe we go ahead and bring that back to where we say, here's how we're gonna regulate them, because we're stuck with them because the state says we're stuck.
And if we do that, we just need to realize there is a different model
Sure.
out there, because that's one I know of.
And that's-
I toured the house and couldn't figure out why they had 1, 2, 3, brand new home.
Yeah.
They had put numbers on each door, and then I saw it advertised on Airbnb, so.
Okay.
There's a difference in this and Airbnb and what Darren's talking about being unrelated, because I know for some time, people were concerned about how many people actually live in a house. I think it was